Concerning RSS, we've dealt with now. I think when it comes to BJP, you've been much more scathing, and that is because you accept that as well. They're a political outfit.
Yes.
But now when we hear Congress and Sonia Gandhi and other people saying that people belonging to minority communities are living in fear and all that. In 2004, you said the same thing, that the people belonging to minority communities will always live in fear if the Bharatiya Janata Party is voted to power again in 2004.
Yeah, sure.
So what was that realization?
No, I think terror has made me change my mind.
2008.
No, even earlier. I wrote my first book on terrorism, which became a classic in the field, and that was how to combat terrorism, Islamic terrorism.
Yeah.
Then I came to the conclusion that for us the Islamic radicalization is a much more dangerous thing than anything that the BJP can do.
Right. But the BJP can do something.
Yeah, no,
it's not.
You have these people speaking out, you see them on television.
Fringe.
But this is not a collective decision that we will put Muslims in gas chambers and so on. So therefore, evolution of thought is it's a dynamic principle.
Sure.
Okay. So I told you the circumstances. I was very unhappy that after spending 10 years in Jansangh and paying a heavy price in terms of my academic career, I think my academic career flourished with Mrs. Gandhi, who knew my father, and my family connections with Congress is very strong. Satyamurthy was one of my great uncles.
Yeah.
I felt bitter that, what is this, suddenly they changed their ideology like this.
Right.
But then the Ram movement came. One thing the RSS does appreciate and tells me and tells others also, that while I was against them, I said awful things about them. But as far as the Hindutva is concerned, Swamy didn't change one bit. There's nothing he did against the country. Now that is a fact, because I got Kailash Mansara open, I spoke up for Ram Mandir.
There's one thing you can explain, Dr. Swamy, in that context. You said secularism can survive in India only if we undertake Sanskritization. Could you explain that? Because that's not very
There you are. See, Sanskritization is the process of recognizing that you and others in India have the same ancestry. So it means that Muslims will accept that they are not come from outside, but their ancestors are Hindus. And therefore your religion can change, but your culture should not change. That is Sanskritization.
But
so there you are.
Right.
My ideology didn't change. My hostility to BJP, and of course they are opponents, so I have a right to be harsh with them.
Right.
And by the way, I'm not the only one who has these things to explain. I don't know why I'm very often called to explain. Maybe people want me to go back to fighting the RSS and they can't do it themselves.
I have an answer to that.
Take Mrs. Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi. She brought down Gujarat's government on what basis? That the DMK should not be a member of the government.
Right.
Because they killed Rajiv Gandhi. 2 years later, she had an alliance with them.
Right.
But nobody will ask her that question. What do you have to say? These are people who killed your husband. I can give you Nitish Kumar change. Nobody talks about this. Somehow, I think they can't find something else to say against me, so they say this.
Being an academic, I'm going to ask you to benchmark something, because that is what academics do. You are on record saying that while we push a Hindutva agenda, we will be very, very careful that it doesn't turn into tyrant majoritarianism.
Yes.
What, according to you, are the benchmarks that the public should use to determine if something is non-hostile, non-threatening Hindutva? And at what point does it transition? What would you use to describe it to transitioning into tyrant majoritarianism?
The day you find office bearers of the BJP at a commanding level. I mean, you can have an office bearer. If you're a psychopath, you may get a general secretary's position, but that doesn't mean you're in a key position.
Right.
I have no position, but I have exercised a lot of influence. What I say matters in the party, and the party sometimes has changed after I've taken a particular stand. I think when the principal figures of the party start espousing a philosophy which is inconsistent with our constitution, that's the time you should be afraid.
Right.
But we don't do that. And the media may play up some fellow there, one MLA here. They may even truncate his statement so it looks worse than it is. That I don't think poses any danger.
Right.
And at the same time, let's not think that any of our minorities are today in the same status as the Jews in Germany. The Jews in Germany had no external support except Jews outside their country. Whereas the Muslims and the Christians are internationally empowered. So to exclusively worry about the Hindu fanaticism and forget about the fact that what the international forces of Islam and Christianity are doing to our country, that I think is a bigger danger.
Right. So basically, the selectivity of who they condemn and who they don't.
And how they make it out. See, I was fired from IIT, was denied my professorship at Delhi school. Nobody talks about it. Okay, the injustices that we people have faced to fight for democracy,
Right.
and what my family went through to fight the emergency. I mean, I think, for a non-existent event of RSS allegedly murdering Mahatma Gandhi, every day we hear about it. But do you hear every day about the emergency?
No.
140,000 people put in jail, so many people castrated. I mean, old men, children, nobody hears about it. How many families were ruined? I know them, you see. They lost their jobs, many of them committed suicide. But none of that gets into the narrative of the country.
There's a very poignant moment when you were going on the run. Your mother asked you, and you were probably 30, said,
Yes.
"When will I see you again, son?"
Yeah.
And you said, "In my next birth."
No, I said, be ready to
yeah,
see me in the next birth.
And your father was mortified, said, "What are you saying?" But so those were the days you went through. I mean,
Yeah, because I didn't know where this all could end, you see. And Mrs. Gandhi anyway hated me. And till she didn't return, that time she was a transformed woman. And I didn't have that prejudice that I wanted to have anything to do with her for what she did to me in the past. With Jayalalitha, you know very well what I went through.
Yes.
But when she came and surrendered, I helped her,
Yes.
protected her from Karunanidhi.
So is it a right, I mean, pardon for using these tags, right wing, left wing thing, the rightists they tend to forgive and forget.
Yeah.
The left never forgets. Is that
No, left never
some-
forgets.
Yeah.
The right is not the right word. The religious-minded people, they are trained to see
Even amongst the religious, the Hindu?
Hindu particularly. He's,
Chalo bhai, bhul gaye.
after all, look at the case of Prithviraj Chauhan. Anytime he forgets that murderer, Gori.
So
Mohammed
that
Gori.
thing is there in
That is
the
there. It's very deeply embedded and छोड़ो खत्म हो गया बहुत हो गया and all that. Very dangerous in a
But
sense.
going by Prithviraj Chauhan's example, isn't that a strategic weakness? It's a strategic blunder.
It is. It should not be repeated.
So then
We
coming
have done it with Pakistan. About 4 times they got to war with us. And we have returned all the territory we captured
Right.
in 1971. Well, if I run away with the credit, then I'll be impossible. Already I'm pretty bad, but
You have said Ram Mandir by Diwali 2018.
Yeah, I am. I'm very serious. Today I went back to the Supreme Court. You see, the thing is, most people don't realize there are two Ram Mandir cases. One is the traditional one that came from Allahabad High Court,
Right.
which is essentially the Sunni Waqf Board saying this is our property, and the Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas Samiti saying that this is where our temple stood, and that is we are the trustees, and the land belongs to us. So both are asking really basically for property. Mine was a new invention which nobody thought of, I don't know why, that I have under Article 25 of the Constitution a fundamental right to pray where faith tells me Ram was born.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court has held in a number of judgments, and that if a sufficiently large number of people by faith believe something, the court cannot question it. Now, we are 100 crore people believe that Ram was born there. So, a sufficient number is an understatement. So, therefore, I have that fundamental right, but I am denied that fundamental right. So, give it to me. I damn whose property it is.
Right.
And property is an ordinary right, fundamental right is superior to an ordinary right. So, I prevail. So, the day my case starts moving, within 1 month I will clear it, and today I got an indication that I will probably get a date very soon.
But this phrase, Mandir wahi banayenge, it's like
Mandir wahi
a
banayenge.
Don't you think it is a bit of a bravado given that the matter is sub judice? What if the Supreme Court
There
says
is no
nahi
such
nahi
thing
bana
as sub judice in Indian law. I am constantly educating people, including judges. In fact, I am going to tomorrow go and educate, next month on the National Herald, because they have protested against my tweets.
Tweets, yes.
I'm on a gag order.
You can't use TDK.
And saying this is sub judice. So I'm explaining to them, sub judice was invented by the British because they had a jury system.
Right.
Yeah.
And jury was picked from the ordinary people.
Right.
And by majority is to decide whether a man should be hanged or should be let free. So, therefore, if somebody important made a statement that this man is innocent, it would affect the jury who would be for the day.
Sorry, I apologize. What I meant was, what if the Supreme Court judgment says ki you cannot make the temple there?
Let them say. And
So I'm saying, preempting saying
there are alternatives after that. After all,
In the
Shah
parliament?
Banu, the Supreme Court said something. Mr. Rajiv Gandhi changed that. We have the power.
That's the possibility.
Ram Mandir has to be built there. Krishna Mandir has to be rebuilt. And Kashi Vishwanath has to be rebuilt. 40,000 temples have been destroyed. We don't want all of them back, provided the Muslim community willingly gives up these three places. They are all mosques. Mosque is not an essential part of Islamic religion.
Now, you talked about ancestry. Sorry, just to flash on that. You talked about ancestry, that Muslims have to acknowledge the ancestry. That is, while that is technically true, I mean, most of the Muslims, if not all, are of Hindu ancestry.
No, all of them are.
All of them? I thought some Shias may have come from Iran.
No. They have long time come from they married here.
Okay, right. Now, you wrote, let me come back to the, the piece, iconic piece in DNA that got you in trouble with Harvard University. So you said a lot of things there, and I think, but what I didn't know and what many people did not know, that you did not actually want the piece to be published, you wanted it to be circulated internally, and you sent it to someone, and that person sent it to the editor and it got published.
No, it was published in a book.
Okay.
It became a bestseller.
And it was 3,000 words.
And then somebody extracted it. So I said, no, you have not extracted it correctly.
Yeah.
But by then it got published. And I think it was probably conspired. Somebody has conspired to do it.
So
because
original length
it
was
is not
3,000
Harvard
words.
University which wanted me out. In fact, the Department of Economics put up a terrific fight. It was the religious school. And that time they were getting a lot of money from Saudi Arabia. And then the left wing joined with that. Mrs. Gandhi also, so Sonia Gandhi also joined. The Harvard wanted a 100-acre land in India near Delhi to build a university here. And of course, our government got it cancelled. So they got neither. They neither got me nor got 100 acres. So the Harvard University administration buckled of the pressure of the India hands. Most of them are leftists, Amartya Sen being one, that Subrata Bose being another who is now Trinamool Congress's MP. So these people all ganged up, and but they were not economists. There was not a single economist who was in the Department of Economics. Amartya Sen was in the Department of Philosophy. A single economist who wanted me not to come back.
Right.
So but I was so angry with them, I said I won't come.
But your own brother said your piece scared the hell out of me. I'm quoting him, Subramanian.
Yeah.
And he said our father would have turned over in his grave had he read that piece.
Yeah.
And what you said was that my piece was 4,000 words long. And
I won't go into things that dissociate myself from that, because.
But you know, Burki, your student who is the ex-finance minister, he said that you told him, Burki, you are going to be shocked by some of the things I am going to be saying about Islam and Muslims. You should know I am saying this for political reasons. You know I don't believe any of it. This is your student. So
no, he's right. I did say it to him, but I decided it was a joke.
I'm going to segue onto that,
Yes,
onto
please.
something else.
Yeah.
Now, you're an academic, so you
Yeah.
believe in statistical methodology and
Yeah.
scientific
Yeah.
reports. There are a lot of scientific reports. I mean, the scientific community seems unanimous now that LGBT rights is, the time for it has come. It isn't, the Indian Psychiatric Association's also come out and said it's not a disease. And there are a lot of LGBT activists that are very proudly Hindutvavadis. Do you feel that you're letting them down when you insist that it's a disease or going against scientific evidence?
That's why I've never said it's a disease. I said it is no. I said it's a genetic disorder.
yes.
That means you're born with it. It's not something you are acquiring as a disease like HIV or something. Secondly, I don't know what you mean by rights. The only right they would not have is to flaunt it. In fact, even normal people are not allowed to flaunt many things. You can't just walk naked in the street, for example. There are restrictions. I was well concerned that the lobby that was pushing hard for this was the Gay Bar Association of America, and that it would be a cover for pedophiles also, like it is in America. And of course, not a very serious comment, but HIV also spreads faster with homosexuals. And I didn't want this to be celebrated. You can't say this is normal, that I have a choice. I can choose whether to be a homosexual or a heterosexual. I don't agree with that. That's my view.
So
where is the question of being let off? I don't think any of my Hindutva friends, whom I know many of them, who are homosexuals, ever flaunt it.
right. So it's never personal animus.
No, what personal animus? I've got no personal animus. I'm only saying that I don't want you to go be demonstrative about this in public.
So would it help then that if the cases being fought at the moment clarified themselves much more so and distanced themselves from certain points of view and certain overseas?
No, I would expect a fair judgment of the Supreme Court would be that nobody can be discriminated on the basis of this preference. However, it should not be flaunted.
Right. As heterosexual
I mean,
relations also cannot be
I would not
flaunted.
like to see a formal legitimization of getting married. I don't think that men and men should marry in a formal way. So I just want them to regard it as a birth defect.
Okay. Can I come in here?
Of course.
And meet in that.
Dr. Swamy, this is my perhaps the only major grouse with you. And if you permit me, give me a couple of minutes to explain that, because I have a background in science. And I fail to understand, and I'm using this word genius for you, all right, please don't mind it. Why would you not go by the established scientific evidence that does not call homosexuality as a disorder? When you say, I didn't call it a disease, I call it a disorder, well, there is Huntington's disease, there are many genetic diseases.
No, I call it, the exact word I used was genetic flaw.
Yeah. So, for example, it has been shown, let me just give you 3 or 4 examples if you don't mind. Genes on, pericentrometric chromosomes 8 and
Listen,
epigenetic.
I will tell you one thing.
And just last
I
week,
will not, I cannot, I didn't come prepared for giving you research which is different.
Sure.
I will also can quote you our ancient scriptures, which have been very liberal in dealing with many of these issues of interaction of sexes and so on. We even wrote the Kama Sutra even.
Of course.
Okay. But the Kama Sutra's first line is that this is a manual for husband and wife, by the way. It is not a genuine manual. Chanakya says, so many others say, that the only word they use is it should not be flaunted.
Okay.
And that is all I am concerned about. If you are in a bedroom, you are exercising your choice, I won't like the police to go and check whether you are sleeping with a woman or a man.
Right.
All right?
I
have been repeatedly saying this.
Sure, yeah.
But naturally people want to twist what I say.
I haven't twisted it. And
not you, but you say scientific research.
Yeah.
I am telling you, if you just have a debate on this and give me a little time, I'll produce you 20 other articles which say that this is not only a genetic flaw, but it is curable. So, I mean, I can't go by that. I am only saying that I've seen the effect of this, especially after Obama, on the American society, and in the Indian society, after seeing what has happened to Sri Lanka on pedophile. I think here I've got to take caution.
What's the connection between pedophilia and homosexuality?
Because in the name of being homosexual, you will trap boys, which is what is happening in America.
But heterosexuals that way,
Sure, I'm not saying there's no rape between man and woman. Of course there is. I mean, this is not a one perfection and one retardation or one misfire. We're not talking about that. I'm just saying that don't celebrate it. Full stop. That is my bottom line. Don't celebrate it.
And does that have a lot to do? Because from what you're saying, it turns out that it has a lot to do with this bandwagoning of it with the liberal movement and the the consequences that you've seen happen in America.
Free sex and things like that,
So you're a classic conservative, basically.
I am on this, definitely conservative, but my other things I'm not conservative. I'm married out. I've let my children marry out.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you mean by conservative. If you say that I'm anti-left, yes, that's a definable position. If I'm anti-promiscuity, yes, I am. I think that there is no such thing as unbridled free choice? Yes, I don't believe there's unbridled free choice. This is subject to reasonable restrictions, and that's there in the Constitution also. So those are the things. I mean, I am a person for moderation.
Right. And quickly on to politics now. Politics.
So we've discussed about your relationship or lack thereof with Mr. Arun Jaitley, and the fact that you would rather.
No, there's very much to discuss. There's hardly any interaction with them.
Right. What I meant was that I too accept your point of view that the economy. He was absolutely not in a condition to be the finance minister. I accept that, but the point is, in that your criticism of Arun Jaitley, is there a possibility that you might have criticized the way India was moving a bit too harshly? For example, you said in September 2015, as it stands at present, the Indian economy is headed for a crisis and a crash by early 2016.
Which almost happened.
a crash in 2016?
Yeah, well, yes, he's heading for. I didn't say will crash.
Right. Then in
But
September.
it is, we are very close. Supposing today the rupee is now 71 or something, it goes to 100. We are in soup. If the oil prices go to $100 per barrel, we are in the soup.
Right.
We are literally, and then one of these banks can collapse, and the depositors won't get their money back. There will be a run on it. There will be chaos. I mean, this is triggering a crisis is so easy.
So this is where I want to come to this question, the $1 million question. You had a recovery plan, which to me it is very sound, including the abolition of income tax for a limited period, which you said it will glut, the money glut and things would move. You wanted black money, you've acted on that. The third was privatization, bring the second wave of liberalization. Fourth was labor reforms. You criticized demonetization as a great plan gone haywire.
Yes.
The point is, Modi is to blame for this. Why don't you blame Modi? Why Jaitley? Why everyone else?
Right.
Well, I think
The buck stops with him.
From what I know, Modi barely intervened. So
In all
therefore I have to hold the finance ministry and finance minister
But
responsible.
perhaps that's an even more damning indictment of an absentee prime
No,
minister.
I mean, it's a style of functioning. He had given complete free hand to Mr. Jaitley to do what he wanted.
Why? I don't
I
understand.
don't know why.
Please shed light on this.
No, how can I shed light when I don't know? But I know that he gave him a free hand.
And now Mr. Piyush Goyal is being given a
Well,
free
it's too
hand.
early for me to say about Piyush Goyal. But, we'll know in time. And I know Piyush Goyal since he was a little boy, so I mean, I have no animus for him. But whether he is able to do and get the country moving around, this is 7.5% is nothing today, especially with the kind of changes that have taken place in the index numbers. What we need is 10%.
But you said the stenographers really run the government, and you have this gang of four and all that. So maybe the government is being run by people.
The bureaucrats run the government.
yeah.
No, I wouldn't say run the government. The bureaucrats are full-time, working for intrigue, their career positions, putting down people. They have past links.
The Reversal case you mentioned, the gang of four.
Look at what they have done to that officer who was extremely upright, Mr. Rajeshwar. 4 times I've gone to the Supreme Court to get him relief. Why would he do that when the man is the only one who's sending Chidambaram to jail? So
why is it the Prime Minister is not aware of this?
that's not true. He's not aware. He has taken number of decisions which I'm happy with.
Okay, right. And finally, the three
He
C's.
did send Raghuram Rajan packing when all of you were for him.
I wasn't.
Okay.
But now getting to the states, specifically Kashmir, and then your genuine friend, not dear friend, just genuine friend, Amit Mitra, who's been a great champion and friend of yours for a long time, who's now the finance minister of Bengal. Specifically Bengal, where do you see this trajectory going? Do you see the BJP capitalizing on the anti-Mamta vote?
Well, 2 things I'll say that BJP is gaining in Bengal. There's no question about it. Mamta is not what BJP portrays. She is a devout Hindu, and she's got this mind fixated that the Muslims make the difference between her winning and losing an election.
Right.
And that the Muslims leave her, they will not go to BJP, they will go to CPM. And which will kill her once they come back to power. I'm sure that they will try something like that, given the nature of communists. So she goes to great length to placate the Muslims, and then the message goes down and everybody sort of surrenders. And that of course helps BJP to gain ground. I think it is essential that BJP and Mamta have at least an unwritten understanding that communists shouldn't be allowed to come out.
Right. So gradually move it to the right from the
No, you're not. We can have a understanding. All right, this constituency looks as if you have an upper hand. So we'll ask our voters to vote for your party.
So almost a quasi alliance.
Well, no, a conspiracy.
But economically, I mean, Amit Mitra is a really good guy. Why isn't he able to move her away from
He can't.
socialist?
No,
economics?
see, Amit Mitra, to call him my friend would be an exaggeration. He was my student. And I ensured he had been involved in the anti-Naxalite movement, so his grades were terrible. But first I got him into IIT to teach after he graduated, and then also used my influence to, with my friends in the United States, to be a little relaxed about his grades and get him an admission. And to his credit, I must say that once he went to America, he performed brilliantly. And he became a professional economist. And he's come back, and then he got into this bureaucratic mold of the FICCI. And then I lost contact with him.
Right.
Because he was too bureaucratic for me. And since he has joined Mamta, I have not really met him. Perhaps once or twice, but I know that given Mamta's personality, there's no minister who would be able to prevail upon her to change her ways.
Right.
She's very violent. I mean, she's more likely to respect an outsider like me than one of her ministers.
Okay.
You've met her regularly?
Yeah, I met her recently. I argued with her and got my way. There was a area of Hooghly which she had handed over to her urban development minister, who also happened to be a Muslim. And there she said that this area would be developed by this minister, and Hooghly. And there it had, that area had the most ancient temple one can think of Bengal, called Tarkeshwar temple.
Yes.
Which was in the announcement by the Urban Development Ministry, would be part of his responsibility to improve.
Right.
So I took the Bengalis, Hindus were very upset. They asked me to go to court. So I decided, because I've known her for quite a long time, and especially when she was having a very hard time with communists, that time Chandrasekhar and I were in power. So we did our maximum to see she's protected. She had very close calls at those days. But anyway, so I gave her a call and flew to Calcutta and met her. And she had some of her officials in the room, and I told her, this is the problem, I can go to court, but I thought I'll first talk to you.
Right.
And she said immediately that I agree with you that the minister, she only said don't refer to him as a Muslim minister, just say minister. That minister cannot decide how to improve the temple unless the temple trustees ask him.
Right.
So problem solved. And people can't believe in Bengal that I went there, spoke to her, then she came out, she addressed the press with me.
Right.
And announced it.
Right.
So I think she's a rational person who has only one phobia, and that is don't let the communists come back, which is something
Anything
I
but
share.
the communist.
Yeah,
of course.
something that I'm sympathetic to.
Yes. But on Hinduism, as you said, you've been, that core has remained the same for the last 40 years, even though politically, you might have had differences. In fact, you said you walked away in the middle of your thread ceremony.
Yeah, when I was a little boy. Yeah.
And then,
7-year-old boy.
Right. And then you want to abolish the caste system.
Yes, I think the caste is out of
But
date.
there's one thing, and you've been quite a fan of Dr. Ambedkar. So I want
Yes,
to know,
yes,
is it true that you were the one who, because of, whom Dr. Ambedkar actually got the Bharat Ratna?
Well,
During that time, because Congress really didn't give him.
No. It was at the time I had raised the demand, but VP Singh seized on it.
Okay.
The person whom I am personally responsible is Sardar Patel.
Right.
Because as a law minister, Chandrasekhar asked me who should be I was not in power when VP Singh was in power. In Chandrasekhar's time was senior most minister, and Chandrasekhar asked me, who should we give to Bharat to? So I said, let me see who is in the list and who's been left out. I was surprised to see Sardar Patel's name being cut by Jawaharlal Nehru.
Isn't that incredible? This is the same party that supposedly now worships Sardar Patel and
Yeah, and they tell us, who are you to appropriate Sardar Patel?
Right.
They said, damn all, you didn't give him a Bharat Ratna.
Yeah.
My God.
And finally, Dr. Swamy.
And Ambedkar, by the way, was a great Hindutva intellectual. I'm sorry that Jawaharlal Nehru made his life so difficult. Wouldn't let him get elected even. And he lost his deposit most times because Congress was directed by Jawaharlal Nehru to steal all his his booth workers.
Right.
And his contribution has been enormous. We should not forget it.
Finally, most importantly, our home state for all three of us, Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
What is your prognosis? What is your prognosis for Tamil Nadu?
Prognosis is that Shashikala will come up.
Really.
You're confident of that.
I'm positive.
Amazing.
And both OPS and EPS will.
They are just fall by the wayside.
What form? I mean, project this out. How do you see
I think
this?
out of the 40 seats, including Pondicherry, Shashikala's party will get 25.
That high?
Yeah.
In spite of EPS and OPS?
They don't count for anything. They fell at her feet and she brought them up and then they ditched her.
Right.
I'm an eyewitness because I was there arguing why OPS should not be invited to form the government.
So do you think TTV Dinakaran then winning that MLA constituency is a
it?
sign of the
Yes,
fact
yes,
from
yes,
the
yes,
Jayalalitha
yes.
section, from the Sasikala section?
Oh yeah, he won under very trying circumstances. It was not ordinary.
Yes.
And so that itself is an indication. The straw in the wind, as they say.
And Kamal Hassan and Rajnikant.
They are jokers, all these cinema types.
So because they're jokers, I'm going to ask you this.
Even Arvind Kejriwal was a joker, but he won.
Well, I mean, I never called him a joker, I called him an Naxalite.
Oh, Shri Charsubis.
So did you give Vivek
Unfortunately,
Agnihotri,
people by that are very intelligent.
did you give Vivek Agnihotri this idea to write this book, Urban Naxals, then? Because you've been calling these people Naxalites for a very long time.
No, I don't even know the book. I've not read it.
But why is it that I've noticed this about you? Every time we talk about actors in politics, I almost see you wince with pain.
Yes, because I know them from close quarters. After all, you must remember, I won from Madurai.
Yeah.
Even though I was in alliance with Jayalalitha, but the ADMK never won that seat.
Right.
And so I know Tamil Nadu very well, and I feel that Tamil Nadu has been debased by the cinema world, and the LTT and the narcotics drug dealers, the black market everybody is in the cinema world.
Right. And you've called President Rajapaksa to come give a speech.
Yes, on 12th of September.
On the 12th of September.
Yeah.
Now, while it's admirable that, of course, you have to take tough decisions as a leader, there is, I think, photographic evidence now that his son was in custody and executed.
Whose son?
Prabhakaran's son.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that died on Mullaitivu beach were innocent people caught up out there.
Right.
Do you think, where do you think the balance lies?
Well, if you apply those standards, then you should also hold Winston Churchill and Franklin Roosevelt.
Mao.
Mao Zedong, of course, is an extreme example. I'm saying that even in democratic countries, when a war takes place, there's a lot of collateral damage. If Prabhakaran's son picks up a gun, I can't go by some picture brought out by some channel in London about he's eating a banana or something like that.
Right.
If you turn up in the battlefield, there will be casualties. And there has been no documentation. It's only propaganda. In the end, everything gets fizzled out.
Right.
So, I think that by finishing off the LTT, Rajapaksa has done a great service to India. I myself was once conveyed by Mr. Vaiko of having been put on the hit list of Prabhakaran.
Oh my God.
And he asked me whether I had a message for Prabhakaran. I said yes. I have a hit list too, and he's number one.
Can we guess who's number 2 and number 3? But we cannot, it's like the maestro has to come in for the encore, right?
Yes.
So we have a couple of questions. We can't just, after the clapping. So just final couple of questions. When you joined the NDA,
Yeah.
you said चाकू गिरे तरबूज पर या तरबूज गिरे चाकू पर,
That's right.
क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
I know.
So you are the chaku, obviously.
Yes.
Do you think this government
Yes.
has shown itself to be a rancid tarboos, incapable of doing anything?
No, I've got a lot of things done by this government.
Oh, you have.
Yes.
But had you not, on its own,
No, he wouldn't have done.
it wouldn't have.
It wouldn't have.
So you're disappointed.
No, I'm not disappointed. I know our system.
Okay.
I know how people get compromised, how people get fooled. You see, politics requires somebody who knows this awful system called the Lutyens world, you see, which I've been brought up in. Not a part of it, but I've been brought up by them. And anybody, look what Vajpayee did. He said India shining and was out on the street. And he was the most loved person because of his moderation. And because the Lutyens, anyone who takes the hard line which makes them irrelevant, they'll go after them.
He was a communist, by the way.
As a student, yes, I know that. That's one more minus point.
So why do you think it is that Congress, we all know, knows Lutyens Delhi and how to work Delhi really
Yes.
well?
Because they created it.
But why is the BJP either
Incumbent.
unwilling to capacity build or understand it, or seek its approval? They always seem to crave its peer approval.
I think it's what the British have left us with, the deep inferiority complex.
Yeah.
And English, for example, why should it have so much value in our society?
Right.
So I think these are all passing phases. It's only a matter of time when the indigenous Indian will rise.
So Mr. Modi is getting the second term?
BJP will definitely get majority. I'm
Majority?
sure, yeah. And now I'm no authority to say who will be Prime Minister. But I don't
finance minister in the new government?
I don't know.
Fourth time lucky?
I don't know. Well, no, it's not that. I'm not even trying.
Yeah.
I know that when I have to become finance minister, it will happen. That's what I said, destiny, prarabdha.
Yes.
So I'm not even trying, I'm not even disappointed. In fact, by staying out, I have now gained huge popularity in the country, and people now hold me as the second most popular person in the party.
Last question before the maestro walks
Okay,
off.
this is the last.
Yes, we can't let him go without his predictions, talking about his predictions.
Yes.
So he said mid-May 2014, Vadra would be in jail.
Yes.
And by July end of 2018, which is a week from now, Tadka and Buddhu would be in jail.
Yeah.
So
Very close. I mean,
Yeah.
You see, there are some time overruns and cost overruns in every project.
Jaitley says that Swamy throws allegations like guests throwing rice at a wedding.
Where did he say that?
This
Jaya
is Jaya
Jaitley,
Jaitley.
not-
Oh, Jaya Jaitley. When did she say that?
I mean, I just took a quote of.
It must be when she was with George Fernandez.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not now. I don't think she would say that now.
Okay. So this is going to happen. All these.
Of course, you
Vadra.
see, National Herald's open shut case. The only thing they are doing is delaying. That I can't, allow for. I mean, all right, it will be 6 months here or there.
Swamy, thank you very much. Thanks very much for watching.